Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the other members of the board for having us here today. Uh, my name is Greg Regan. I'm the president of the Transportation Trades Department, AFL-CIO. By way of background, TTD represents 37 unions across every mode and every sector of America's transportation network, including the totality of rail labor. That includes both freight and passenger rail workers, and I'm here to speak on behalf of those unions and their members. Rail workers understand better than most that the stagnation of the freight rail industry is a critically important issue, and we think this is an important hearing for you all to be having. Everyone in this room, no doubt, agrees that freight rail is of vital importance to the U.S. economy. Unfortunately, safety, service, and staffing deficiencies continue to plague the industry and contribute to its lack of growth. Given their size and reported profits, Class 1 railroads clearly have the wherewithal to take the steps necessary to improve safety, service, and staffing levels, which would contribute to renewed growth in this industry. What appears to be missing, however, is their willingness to do so. Since 2015, Class 1 railroads have reduced their total workforce by 30%, slashed their private investments in physical infrastructure like rail yards, and sold off or sidelined essential equipment such as rail cars and locomotives. For example, BNSF slashed its number of maintenance and equipment and stores employees from a recent high of about 9,000 in March of 2019 to just over 6,000 in June of 2024, a decrease of over 30%. As a result of self-inflicted cuts like this, the railroads do not have the workforce or equipment necessary to provide adequate rail service. For years, TTD and our affiliated unions have warned that these reductions leave zero margin for error. And we've seen the consequences of that during some of the supply chain crises that we've dealt with over the last few years. In addition to widespread safety issues in the freight rail industry, the safety issues have contributed to over 1,000 freight rail derailments every single year. That is nearly 3 a day. And contrary to the railroad's rhetoric, the industry's safety record is getting worse, not better. Rail workers can attest to that a high level of safety is an essential element of efficient and reliable transport of goods. Class 1 railroads have strayed from the traditional operating model of a service industry that responds to the demands and needs of its customers. Instead, the Class 1 railroads began pursuing an operating model known as precision scheduled railroading, which I know you all have discussed at length. For the last 10 years, PSR dictates that rail cars operate on a set of often arbitrary schedules, arriving and departing at specific times, regardless of the needs of customers. PSR proponents claim that this improves train velocity, how quickly trains can move from one terminal to another, not how quickly and responsibly cars are picked up from and delivered to a shipper's facility. Fundamentally, however, PSR seeks to generate the highest possible profits through the lowest possible operating ratios. To achieve these profits, railroads have stripped rail networks of their physical and human capital. In order to address the lack of growth in the freight rail industry, we encourage the board to further delineate the scope of the common carrier obligation, which would provide much needed clarity on an important legal obligation of the railroads, target the heart of freight rail service problems, and holistically address the ongoing issues with the Class 1 railroads. Enforcing a robust common carrier obligation would hold railroads collectively accountable for providing a higher quality of service, effectively address many of the problems the shippers continue to experience, and in turn contribute to renewed growth in the industry. As it stands now, railroads continue to fail their customers and their employees by providing insufficient levels of service. It will take action from this board, from Congress, from the Class 1 railroads themselves, and from the Federal Railroad Administration to resolve the core staffing, service, and safety issues that have restricted growth in this industry. I've been lucky enough to testify here a couple of times, and I've made this point before. But obviously as a labor leader, we have a high stake in making sure that we have growth in the industry, that we want to see higher staffing levels, better service. And we want to see, of course, our members be fairly compensated for the work that they do to drive that profit and drive an industry that is so critical to our economy. And as a citizen, I think it is of the utmost importance that we see this industry grow. We want to see it to be thriving. We want to see fewer trucks on the roads and more goods being moved by rail. And frankly, if you just look at the mile tonnage data over the last several years, we're not seeing that growth. there's opportunity for it. We saw the need for greater capacity during the supply chain crisis just a couple of years ago. So there is that room for growth and opportunity, and I think that we should be seizing every single chance we have to make this industry thrive. Thank you.